Kathy Vick, Deeply Awake. This has been a really astounding time for me the last week or so. And I'd like to report some of the things that are going on so that it's documented and so that it's shared because other people might be going through it too. And if you're not, then this stands as like someone who's just going through the ascension process. And it's kind of fun to just peek in, right? Maybe. Okay, so the first thing that I need to say is that I was moved to review some of the foundational work that I was aware of very early on as I got training before I walked into the desert, so to speak. And 3 books are written by Eric Klein. They're entitled The Crystal Stair and The Inner Door, volumes 1 and 2. They talk very openly and honestly and clearly about the ascension process, about the plan, about why we're here. And then there's one that just is sort of one of my heart of heart books called An Ascension Handbook by Tony Stubbs. So that's one of the things I'm going to do once I am bionic, once I get my hip, once I get what I'm going to get. I asked, can I get one that will let me shoot lasers out of my leg? Can you put one of those in? He said they'd look into that. And that's coming up. And then after that, I'll be offering a class. And the book that is going to be required reading is An Ascension Handbook. How you like that? Tony Stubbs. So that'll be fun. I'm walking around the apartment this morning and saying out loud, because I'm realizing it as I'm saying it, it's really kind of astounding because the more it becomes real, there are different, it becomes more and more real. And that's a nice thing. Does this exclude real life? No, it is part of real life. It goes because of real life. But I see things in layers. I see things differently than I guess a lot of people do. And I can see just in different layers. And so I want to explain some of the things I've been seeing. I've been seeing floaters, like plasma things. I've been seeing popping lights that are colors, like out there, not in my visual fields. They're like out there, blue, little blue ones. I've been seeing things moving on the sides of my eyes. And I've been seeing for a couple days, it was really super weird. I would like focus in on something and it would go boom, or boom, boom. And so I'd see like 2 or 3 different versions kind of like putting together. And it reminded me of when I was in that circle of beings and their faces were glowing. And when I looked closer, it was because there were so many faces that were flashing. And it was how many, who they were. But it was just this glowing white face. And it had that feel to it. And I heard, when I saw what was happening, I heard, oh, you're just looking at different timelines there. Different probability fields. Just don't worry about it. Your vision's coming online, sweetheart. Don't worry about it. The other thing I'm noticing is that I didn't really. I'm such an energetic being that I knew that the people who are involved with me, I can feel them. I mean, obviously, I can feel them, and some of them are tangy, and some of them are sweet, and some of them are intoxicating, and some of them are entirely, mind blowing. And I guess what I'm aware of is that whether I give permission or not, my fields are in use. And I better get used to this new communication. So I had this, the day before it happened, I had this person come visit me. Honest to, you know who. I mean, it was just this tangy thought just went, and it's like, wow, that's weird. That is so unusual to have that image of this person, like hollering and being really upset. It's like, what? Oh, baby, that's it. Just calm down. But it was a hook. It was like, oh my God. And I knew I was being visited. I was getting advanced warning. And indeed, that's what it was. And the event was different, very different, than how it visited me. However, the energy was the same. And that taught me a valuable lesson. Because I will feel certain feelings that are not... why would I think this? Why would I wake up in the morning so grief-stricken, missing someone so intensely that I'm sitting there weeping at the side of my bed? Why? Why? So I'm beginning to realize that, there's some things that are not entirely, well, they're mine, but they're not all mine. And so I'm learning how to use my energetic fields in a brand new way, and I can feel that my Merkaba really it stretches throughout the world. It's as big as the earth. I'm involved with everyone. I mean, we're one family unit, obviously, through our DNA. And energetically, we're source, individuated. So we're all one and we're all individuated. You know? But if I can see that big and have that kind of scale, and a scale as I'm driving, I'm thinking about this beautiful meditation I had with that silver goddess who was just floating around. But I realized I finally put it together. What I understood, I'll tell you, and it's kind of advanced and kind of freaky deaky, but I'll tell you. At the very beginning of my activation in April, I was led to do a lot of mirror work. What I found when I looked into the mirror is that I could see beyond. I would look into my eyes, or I don't know, that the mirror would transform. And what I saw, what I was led to see, was such a beautiful sight. I saw the body of God stretched out over the multiverses. I saw 11 planets that had gone through full ascension. The Holy of Holies, the Ancient of Days. I saw it stretch, and I saw that we're the 12th. We complete the body of God. I saw that there's this beautiful union. There is this creative source of love, and its messenger, its lover, its expressor, its creator is the mother. And that glorious dance of thought realized and thought expressed, misunderstood by human beings. It's the mother who we pray to. It's the mother who makes it all happen. And then I had that meditation again with the silver goddess. But the first one, I just was looking at it. The second one, I knew I was floating. It was after I'd seen my big red crystal turn into a substance. And I felt my Merkaba spin, and I was in my column of light in my body. And then the next thing I knew, I was this huge silver goddess And I was looking right into the eye of God. And it was so blissful. It was so beautiful. So I've understood that there is this thing that we're doing that, delivering everything to the mother. And there's so much more beyond that. This is just one story that Creator is telling itself. So we're beautiful. And we ascended against all odds. Against all odds. But we came in force. People like me. And we've come in bands. Generational bands. And we've supported ourselves the whole time, having pillars of light in our lives, who sacrificially just loved as we grew, as we grew, as we grew. My story is only one. But my story is unique. And it is important. I was looking at Tony Stubbs' book. And it was very helpful. Because Serapis, Thoth, he explained about just how to hold oneself now. And there was one whole chapter that, it just really shook me because it explained pretty much what Michelle Karen was saying. That when you hold this unity band or the unified field, when you're aware of it, you really do get very, very unusual responses. And it really has nothing to do with the person holding that unified field in their eyes, and in their heart, and in their blood. And it's really past time to stop engaging. And just lead the way home. That's how monsters are dealt with. Monsters aren't real. Monsters are scared human beings who don't think they have many options and don't believe they have any worth. With a puffed up sense of ego, usually. It's just a dysfunction. It's the protector gone mad. It's the male principle at the end of the line, basically. But the Kali Yuga is dead, and these energetics have been I think that one will just let them come through. It's only 13:29. Just a minute. Yes, okay, all right. Yes, we have some alignment issues in this body. Oh, holy crow. All right. So, this energy is held at all times. It isn't meld. However, there is a great ability to simply, for the personality to excuse herself happily and gratefully, we say, dispersing. So we have some things to say, and we revolve around the ascension and the ascension process. Because did we not ask? When an ascension process is complete, we are not saying that this process ever ends. However, there are end points. And there are certain amperages which once they are reached, then the physical matter begins to change quite drastically. This is what we call a critical mass. Okay. And yes, you could say that it has been a witness to seeing a frequential change live on camera. Certainly, that could be the case. And this, dear ones, this is not plasma, this is incense. We love the incense that Melissa gave us. We feel we are in lavender fields as it burns. It's very pretty. So, it is fine and well to study Ascension, okay? That keeps it far away from the person, doesn't it? Yes. But when one has applied these teachings, lived them a lifetime, argued with them, and found them to be accurate and whole, well then, the one before you has gone through in a body process. We will review quickly. All right. Yes, in the April there was a breaking apart of something, and then we were able to change the amperage, and there was a physical change in the body habitus. It was explained with the big. It's not dolomite, but isn't it funny? We have a stone like it. Yes, there was a visitation, and what she experienced was this kind of crystal, but it was sound, but it was light, but it was physical, and this went through her head. Yes. She understood, although it was massive, long, it was in a circle. And she understood as she stood there watching it, her body inert, changing. This column of light, which she had been riding up and down, well, you know. Their macabre was set. Prior to this, we took her up to the Lookout Mountain. We had her stand on the earth. It had been snowing up there for 3 days. We made sure of that. We could not go to the Lemuria. It's not possible. But we needed something high with snow. And she stood there. And not long after, the big generators cracked. Yes, it's a good place. There's lots of energy up there. What she saw was the engagement of gold within her blood. She understood there was something that was done energetically to loosen gold that is within the body habitus, and it rides within the blood, making such a visitation possible. And we say, and we say, and we say, what you see before you is physical matter. But we ask you to put things together as she is beginning to. So, Ascension. Perhaps it's complete when the person realizes they've gone through it. What do you think of that? When the sense of self-worth and confidence returns. Perhaps that's it. When do you consider yourself healed, after all? Do you require a doctor to tell you? Isn't it mostly for confirmation? Many times, the dying needed to be told what was what. It was simple confirmation of something they didn't want to believe was true. Isn't that what most of the battles are about around here? We ask you. Knowing the truth, knowing what is right, knowing what is real, knowing what heals, knowing what is true, and not wanting to accept it, not wanting to act upon it. It is this which is the crux of much of the work of humanity. Are you aware of that? Well, perhaps if we start talking about it clearly, people will be able to look at it a little bit differently. Yes, part of the deal with this one is to break the monster's back. Yes, this is what we were yelling at her in the car as she got into her little stroller thing and said out loud, well, it looks as if my life was one of breaking the monster's back. After all, I've lived with monsters my whole life. I know monsters. Really, really good. I've watched them. I know them. And I know it's not a person. It's an energy. It's a way of thinking, a way of knowing, a way of standing in reality, which causes problems. Monsters are not real. It's only someone in grave misunderstanding who needs to be led home. And so we show a way to stand and how to give light. And we are explaining that the white light which has been emanating needs to be tempered now. Color needs to be added because it is too much of a glaring light, we say. So, yes, the Tony Stubbs book, we encourage people to take a look at that. It's and the emerald tablets, we say, it's quite helpful. Yes, that's quite a trigger, the emerald tablets. It's a good one. It's a good read. These are good pursuits for those who are seekers of knowledge about Ascension. But we wish to explain the last bit that remains hidden, as the one before you talks about progress. And we explained, as it was happening, it would be we. Who explained? Who would explain? Tenses. What happened here? Yes, it became home. What it means to say. In prayer, I am a Christed being. And finally, to have come to peace with being human. Finally, coming to peace with simply being human. Sailor. That was the point. Yes, so there is an invocation that Tony Stubbs wrote in the back of the book. We encourage those who wish to read this out loud You may repeat it at will, but say it out loud, dear ones. And as you read the words, feel them, understand. It is a conference of energy, of deep respect, of brotherly love. It is a welcome home. So, we encourage that. How could I be a Christed being? People call me names. They hurt me. They don't listen. I'm not important to them. How can I be a Christed being? That doesn't make any sense. Quite a lot of confusion, don't you think? We demonstrate it for you, so you may see how false it is. Do you see? These are the thoughts of someone able to forgive. Beyond forgiveness is understanding that there is no need to forgive. Not necessary. But the forgiveness must occur first. Do you see? The passions, the beliefs, the expectations, the requirements, the personality structure needs to be dealt with. What are your core fears? What are your anxieties? Your soul knows of these. Your soul walks with you every step of the way. The old one, the wise one, the one whose face flashes with wisdom and humor and love. This one knows of your stress, and they know of your grave misunderstandings. They know that at times you present as a monster. They know all of this. Do you think you have so much power that your misunderstandings can soil your soul? It's not the case. And you know, if you stay in grave misunderstanding your whole life, so what? If you break everything you touch your whole life, so what? You are loved innately. You are understood innately. This knowledge helps. It is a welcome home. But now there was more. There's more. We wish to close by telling you that as a result of the expansion that we witnessed with the realization, a true realization, that one lifetime does end and another officially begins. on this one's birthday. The geometry speaks of so much, and it is honored beyond anything we can describe. And it is illuminated. It is revered by this one, and there is simply just a change in energetics on their birthday. And so it is encouraged to review the aspects of the new geometries, the abilities and expectations, the way of holding the energy. It's quite different, and we encourage its adoption. And we point out that what you are witnessing is one physical being ending one life and beginning another while incarnate. Do you understand? We bring up the major activation which occurred in April or May, I can't really remember, and where there was the big beam of light, which was sound, which was physical. What's going on here? It didn't hurt, but it was like a log through the head. And let us just say that she was lifted up. Okay? We kept that quiet and let people think what they wanted. That's fine. There's much data to go through, and we have begun. And this process is one which will eventually truly it aids the process. It is a process with endpoints, with completions, and with great celebration. And so there is better 2 days ago, we say, just to close the energetics. There's so much fun to talk about. Yes, everything was misfiring. It was funny. It went through the whole day. Everything, no, you couldn't escape it. Misfire. And it was a shared reality. It was just something that you couldn't help but notice. It was odd. Yes. These subtle energies. Well, there is no name for what happens when things just go boom, boom, boom. And it felt to this one, she described it as a kind of geometry. It was angular, and it kept repeating. And the idea was to just not get upset about it. It's just the way it is today. The energy is just like that. So that's one way of knowing. Another way of knowing is knowing you're being knocked upon. And there are agreements which go beyond personality consent. And we work with the personality, with all involved. Can you not see? Each one has a soul. Each person. You. Dear one. You. Your face looks upon our face, yes? And we are simply a physical emanation of a huge collective of energy, of which you are a vital part, and which spans worlds upon worlds. Is that not enough for today? To still your soul, to tickle your brain, to entice your curiosity and to quiet your shame in a shame-based, fear-based agreement field. Time is wasted. Time is wasted. Can you not see? The light has come. When are you healed? When are you ascended? Well, although it can be confirmed, it is the being who declares it so. We wish for you to honor yourself, to know yourself, to be so much more than the things you might do right or wrong, for the displeasures you create, or the harmony you produce, so much more. We ask that you make everyone's way better, and this is done by simply knowing who you are and radiating this. Using color, and yes, using scent. This is helpful now. Lilac, sea green, sort of a neon orange, pink, yellow. There are colors that are hard to describe. If your visual fields become more active, do not consider that you are going mad or getting sick. Use your discernment and allow it to be possible that you are waking up. Simply waking up. Can you not see? It is true when we say you cannot do it wrong. You are fellow travelers. Isn't it best not to snarl at each other and hurt each other and take away from each other, but instead stand as creators, each in dignity and in mutual respect? Well, it may be a long way off, but it's best to have some people around who insist upon it, don't you think? Yes, we think. It is no longer something in a book, dear ones. It's nothing less than a physical miracle. So, we are grateful for those who have come along for the ride. We understand. It's not everyone's cup of tea quite yet. That's fine. Doesn't have to be. It's given to you freely. Just the same, dear one. The rain falls on the just and the unjust. We're gratified to be giving this to you this day. Please accept this transmission of divine love, of eternal grace. Of pure devotion. Of strength. courage, of warmth. Devotion most of all. There are loves which are as unbreakable as the one before you. And that love sits before you now. Worlds upon worlds within this one's eyes, and in many, many, many who are in place, listening, capable, and ready. We leave you in love and peace, harmony, and how about laughter? Lots of laughter. You know, you can put on a 3-minute clip of someone who you know to be funny to you, and you can opt to laugh. You can. While you sit down to pee, how about? How about putting on stand-up or something that's funny, that lifts you up higher? Sure, meditation music and even the Zen music, many things. But we ask that you be aware of your ambient or surroundings, okay? Be conscious of what you are listening to. What kind of messages are coming through, because this is a clue to your consciousness where you are hanging out and what makes it, what is possible and what is limited in this consciousness, okay? If you listen to the Bach and you love the Bach, well then your consciousness is a bit expanded, is it not? You feel happy and you feel good, right? There are certain, well, we just ask you to be aware of what you're listening to. And if it's bringing you a sense of stability, if it's giving you peace, and if it's making you laugh, or if it's confirming to you that life is shit and people are awful. Sometimes that's funny to watch and listen, and then you can laugh. But if it's to feel better then, well, we ask that you perhaps take a look at that. Just take a look at it and see if it's producing a happy thing for you. And if it's not, well then, who's in charge here? You can change the ambient awareness. You can put on a beautiful book. You can elevate your consciousness. You can learn. You can take this opportunity in this moment to become more than what you were, simply by allowing a person who has learned something other than what you know come and talk to you through a book. You could show some humility, and you could sit and learn. These are things that are very nice to perhaps just play with, yes? You have this time on earth. What are you doing this day to be more than what you were yesterday? Consider this, okay? It's part of the road. With the fully entangled ones, it's not even a drum beat. It's a hand pushing them back forward. Driven are they? And they stand before you, all around this globe, placed quite deliberately and voluntarily, we say. voluntarily. All right, we have quite the offering, don't we? Oh, this one has a headache even. My oh my. Well, if you wanted to know what Ascension is, there you go. We will, we would say within about, well, we don't want to speculate, but there's a project with the deadline which is urgent, and this one is working diligently, and we say bravo, and we salute those who are equally driven by something they must obey, which perhaps no one understands but them. Drive on, drive on. Now is the time. You have a sister. You have a sister. You have a mother. You have a grandmother named Magatha. Yes, you do. They're all represented in this little face with the funny hair. Free of charge. Our gift to you this day and in all days. Taylor.